It's Monday, February 28th. Coming up live on The View, their award-winning Hot Topics when the co-hosts give their Oscar wrap-up of the winners, losers, bleeps, and blunders.
The weird part is I just got a text message from Charlie Sheen.
And speaking of Charlie Sheen, he's making the rounds with a shocking assault on the airwaves, boasting about his drug-fueled partying.
I am on a drug. It's called Charlie Sheen.
Plus, it was the bizarre radio rant that started it all. And the host who gave him the mic, Alex Jones, is revealing why he's on his pal Charlie's side, and if he believes he's really clean and sober. And the verdict is in, and you can't get enough of them. So V-Mail Ask the Experts is calling back the lawyers to answer your legal questions and giving their advice to celebs in trouble with the law. All that, Hot Topics and more, coming up live on The View.
To The View. Joy has the day off. She will be back tomorrow.
Let's outfit in honor
yes,
of
you
her.
are.
Yes,
you
are.
are.
Black dress.
And it's a little black dress on a little blonde chick. It's very nice. Last night was the 83rd Annual Academy Awards. So, how'd you like the show?
I didn't see most of it. It was a little boring, and I turned it off. I didn't. It was long. Mm-hmm. But the point.
Always long.
It was long. It seemed like. But this is the point that I want to make because I'm all for. I think when you go out there and I think comics should host the Oscars. Mm-hmm. I think people. And the reason why I say that, because I love them both, but I think this is a difference between a comedic actor doing a film and going out there being themselves. You miss some little crucial moments and things like that, and you're hiding behind a character when you do a film. But it's harder than it looks when you have to go out there and you have to be yourself.
It's got to be so difficult to do that.
It's got to be so difficult, and so give them props for trying to do it. But
What's the secret?
Well, I did watch the whole thing from beginning to end. First of all, I would like to pay homage to Bill Getty, because this was the first time, 23 years with Bill, 28 years of our doing a pre-Academy Award night special. And last night was the first time Bill and I decided last year not to do it anymore. And who were you with, Bill? You're with some cute-looking chick there.
I was with myself.
I think we missed out because that kind of gets everybody ready. I feel like it gives you a personal look at the actors, if I may say so.
I watched
and then
in
you
my
watch
PJs.
it feeling invested in the show more than even just watching them in their grand work as actors. You actually get to see them as people, so I missed that, actually.
Well, we had made the decision not to do it, but I did watch the whole show. I missed some of the music. I thought Anne Hathaway, they're trying to get younger people. So they had Anne Hathaway and James Franco, right?
Yeah.
And we should mention who won, Colin Firth for Best Actor. You're going to go through all this.
Let's stick with
just stick with this for the minute. Okay. I thought she was very good. You're right. You miss the one-liners when somebody does something, but there were some moments that made you go, wow.
Yes, there were.
Some of the clips. And the clothes, everything was beautiful because they're all getting dressed by stylists.
Nobody has a worse dress moment anymore.
Not at the Oscars. You kind of wait. I think it was Halle Berry say you get to see who people really are at the Oscars. I'm not so sure because it's also perfect and stylized.
Well, I got to tell you, one of those reasons is because of the really rude and mean stuff that people would say if you dressed as you wanted to dress. It became a thing where nobody wanted to get their behind kicked year after year after year. I mean, that's a huge deal. And again, sometimes people forget that the people they're writing about actually have feelings.
I know.
So now everybody looks the same and acts the
same. It's also the
same.
age of the stylist where everything is just so.
Well, which will fit on your body.
By the way, you were right, though, because when Billy Crystal came on, everybody applauded because they missed. They missed, the jokes, the everything that Billy Crystal.
Well, you have to. I mean, the other thing is, it can be a comic, but for me, I think the most important thing is you got to get people who understand a live show. If you go out and you perform and do stuff, you know what an audience groove is. You know what's happening. And the first few minutes of that show is yours as the host.
How many times did you do it?
4.
4. So you really know. But and they needed you. I missed you last night.
But you have to recognize 2 things. You have to know when something happens, like after Melissa Leo laid out her and said that word. Yes. But I just want to finish my little point on this. Is that, you know, when things happen like that, you have to be able to come and lift the audience out of their shock. Yeah. You know, and move the show forward. And I felt that last night, suddenly there was no one in charge. People were talking forever. And people would just, I mean, I was looking at the side of people's heads when they got their awards. And there were people,
it was very... got the short version.
Yeah,
they were like, I'd like to thank, and all of a sudden...
Let's show some of the things that were, you know, live and funny.
Yes, we have the opening bit. We start with that, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
I must say, you look so beautiful and so hip.
Oh, thank you, James.
Yeah.
You look very appealing to a younger demographic as well.
Thank you very much.
It used to be, you get naked, you get nominated. Not anymore. Not anymore. It's been a great year for lesbians.
That's right.
Not just in general, but in movies.
The kids are all right.
Lesbians.
Black Swan.
Dancing lesbians.
Toy Story 3.
Where's the dad? It's the young and hip Oscars.
But that's what it was, trying to get the younger.
But it's like when they were doing the one-liner, like, it's the dad. I'm going, I didn't get that. Now, did y'all get that when she went? It's the dad. Okay.
You got that.
A couple
Where's
people
the
got
dad?
it. Where's the
The
dad?
Dutch didn't have a father.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just
choice
that's why I'm.
It was wild. It was out there. And as I said, Melissa Leo was overwhelmed at winning Best Actress last night. And she wasn't shy when she accepted the award.
Wasn't it Best Supporting Actress?
Best Supporting Actress.
I am kind of speechless. Golly sakes, there's people up there, too. When I watched Kate 2 years ago, it looked so...
Why would she take the most important moment in her career and do that?
Because things slip out. And the reason I say that is because for years when I did this show, ABC was worried about me. See?
When you're very passionate and you're nervous, and if those are words that fly about in your normal conversation anyway, and you're in that moment, sometimes it just...
It's so funny because either God or the F note jumps into any sort of thing. You know, it's like one or the other, or sometimes both together.
Yes.
It's just wild.
But I have to say, I started laughing when she did it because I remember, you know, because the censors are sitting there like this, just waiting for something to happen.
But I don't think they expect it.
By the way, they were able to bleep it. And then
they were quick enough.
Yeah. And then the other funny moment was Christian Bale.
Christian Bale won for Best Supporting Actor for The Fighter.
So good.
Yeah.
He was caught up in the moment also. Some thought that perhaps he forgot a very important thing. Take a look. See if you notice.
My team, led by Patrick and Boomer and Carlos and Jen and Anna and Julie, thank you so much for everything you do. And, of course, mostly my wonderful wife.
Because that's going to be the only hug he's going to get, like, for about a week.
He's going to sleep with it tonight. But you know, he's too young to have a senior moment. Yeah. You know, that's the thing where you say,
oh, gosh, her face is like, come on, honey.
You remember, you remember everybody else, the grip, the crew.
Because you have been, because if you're honest, you have been thinking, okay, I have to remember to thank this person, this person, this person, this person. And you get out there and you thank all these people and you're thinking to yourself, my God, I remembered everybody. And my...
Oh, gosh. That is so painful. Oh, no.
It
it
does
That's
happen.
when it's what you two are talking about.
Yes.
That's when the host had to come back and say something,
Yeah.
and they didn't.
And so,
Sounds like Belinda.
since I'm here and I'm going to take the opportunity to be the host of this show right now, we'll be right back with more Hot Topics. Firth, I have to say, everybody said he was going to win for the King's Speech, and he did, and he earned that Oscar. Yeah. The other winners were quite fabulous.
Can I just talk a little bit about the King's Speech?
Yeah.
Because what touched me, and I think maybe the line of the night, belonged to David, is it Seidler? Is that his last pronounced? Seidler. He's 73-year-old, and he won for the screenwriter. Right. He wrote the King's Speech. I want you to hear what he said, and then I want to tell you why I thought it was so important. This is the line he said.
My father always said to me, I would be a late bloomer. I accept this on behalf of all the stutterers throughout the world. We have a voice. We have been heard. Thanks to you, the Academy.
Okay. David Seidler, who wrote this, was himself a stutterer, which is why this had particular appeal. My sister, and I've written about this, was a terrible stutterer. It was so difficult for her and for the family, and a lot of people made fun of her. And recently, I had a chance to meet with Vice President Biden, who is a terrible stutterer, and as you know, and suffered so much. Right. And the fact that there are now things, I think, a National Association of Stutterers. I don't know whether I have is that correct? And that there are things that you can do. I thought for him to say that was perhaps the most helpful thing of the whole night of the Oscars.
It was.
And it was. And it was lovely to hear him start it out by saying, my father said I'd be a late bloomer.
At 73.
At 73. It's kind of lovely. Yeah. And there were hours, many hours of pre-Oscar red carpet shows last night. Now, did any of the looks stand out for you? Any clothes?
Can I just talk about Anne Hathaway? I'm sorry I'm doing a lot of talking, but you didn't see the whole thing. So. Okay. She wore 8 different outfits. The first one that you're looking on is Valentina. Ooh. She changed 7 or 8 times. Beautiful. Each time, I think, looking more wonderful. I mean, she gets the Oscars, I think, just for best gown.
I don't know how she changed so fast.
I don't know. Well,
it's very easy.
It was a long show.
Yeah.
And so that's all of Anne Hathaway's clothes, and I thought she looked just great. And again, I thought she did her very best. I
loved
good.
Oh,
go ahead. Who'd you do?
Jennifer Hudson.
Oh, she looked fantastic.
She had this Versace dress on that was... It was a tangerine color. She's lost weight. She's size 6. She just looks so beautiful and healthy, and she looked great.
Structured dress for her too. I thought Haley Seinfeld, who's 14 and helped design her dress. It was Marchesa dress. It was so age appropriate with that length right at the ankle, and she has her headband. And I thought, wow, you know, she looks beautiful. 14 and gorgeous and fresh. And Reese Witherspoon, I liked her 60s rock and look Armani Privé, which was she had a ponytail in, which anytime you can wear a ponytail is good news to me.
There was a lot of red. It's a big year for red.
Yeah.
I mean, Sandra Bullock wore red. We don't have every picture, but it was a lot of red. And all the clothes were beautiful, as you said. There were no mistakes, which was nice, but it also took away from kind of the fun.
Well, you remember when Sharon Stone wore an outfit when she wore her husband's white shirt and she paired it with some...
It was a white T-shirt.
It was a white... It was Carolina Herrera. And it was just like something so spontaneous because she didn't have anything to wear. It made news. I don't think people do that now.
Well, as I said, you know, unless you've been ridiculed... You don't know what it's like. You don't want to do it. You want to sort of look like everybody else and stay under the radar. I mean, it's terrible.
Kids last night, weren't they? It was precious at the end. I wish they had them before the end of the show, too, right?
Yeah, it would have been really nice if they had been there before the end of the show, so a lot more folks could have seen them.
They sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Touching. But you had to stay up late. I mean, I think it was like 11:30.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have to say this because there are part of the Oscars that really sort of annoyed me last night. And, you know, the Irving Thalberg Award is a huge deal. When someone wins it, you know, they come out and it's for what they've done. And it felt to me like there had been two separate Oscars. And, you know, last night it was Eli Wallach, excuse me,
Tomorrow, who won it? Francis Ford Coppola and the director Jean-Luc Godard, who had done so many of the black and white.
Yeah.
The three of them being honored in this special ceremony.
And film preservationist Kevin Brownlow, who without him, a lot of these old films would have disappeared. Sure. Now, I guess you have to stay hip and put a lot of stuff in, but that's a part of the Oscars. These guys have worked their behinds off for years. Eli is 5,000 years old and still working.
But the point is, your point is they never showed, they never let them talk.
Well, not just that, but my point is, when you have these kinds of awards, this is something that's part of it. This is a big deal. This is a big part of the Academy Awards, and I was very sort of blown away that they just sort of had to peek out the curtain and then leave. Yeah. I just, you know...
I want to say, I know they had Billy Crystal come out, and people were so excited to see Billy Crystal. Were you asked at all to participate and lend your talents? And
No.
Would you do it again?
Wow. Would you if they could?
You know, I don't know. I said I would do it with Billy if somebody wanted us to, but the idea...
I think we need to be starting a petition or something.
No, not a petition, because I understand what they were trying to do, but there are enough young performers out there who could have filled in the gaps. I mean, I like James Franco a lot. I like Anne Hathaway a lot. Right. But this is a show that, you know, you have to keep... It's on you to keep it going. You know, it's on you. And if you know stuff to say, if you can find something to do, you know, you have to be able to surf in this show. And I didn't think they surfed as much as they could have.
Can I just say something to you?
Sure.
Every day you surf.
Plus, I don't want to do what Melissa Leo did. Okay. So I'm surfing all the time. You know what? We're going to go and come right back because we've got even more hot topics. So today, we have on the radio host who Charlie Sheen called into last week. But since then, Charlie's been making the rounds on TV and on GMA this morning, and he made no apologies for his hard partying ways. Take a look.
When was the last time you used?
I use a blender, I use a vacuum cleaner, I use, household items. When was the last time I ingested or took drugs?
Yes, when was the last time you took drugs?
Such an AA stupid expression or term. I don't remember. I do not remember.
A week ago, 2 weeks ago,
maybe a month
2 days ago.
6 weeks. I don't know. It was a couple days before the suits rolled in and said, change it, change everything, we're shutting you down.
When you look back at the last time you used drugs, are you disgusted with yourself, or do you think, how could I have done that?
I'm proud of what I've created. It was radical.
You're proud of that party moment?
Of course. Why wouldn't I be? No,
Why would you be?
Because I expose people to magic. I expose them to something they're never otherwise going to see in their boring, normal lives. And I gave that to them. I may forget about them tomorrow, but they'll live with that memory for the rest of their lives. And that's a gift, man.
The very good reporter is ABC correspondent Andrea Canning, and there's going to be more of this tomorrow and a special tomorrow night. But can you imagine saying all that? And by the way, also at where she was doing the interview was a porn star, Brie Olson, and Natalie Kenley, who is described as a Pot magazine model. So he still has his pals.
Yes, his ladies. Yeah, listen, it's working for him. They said he was straight. You know,
he took a drug test.
He took a drug test. Right. They said he was straight. And, this is who he is. This is who he is.
But, I say it's who he is, but who he is has affected. Now the show has suspended the rest of the season, so who he is has affected everybody else.
Maybe, but now let me ask you, because I'm a little fuzzy on how this feud between the gentleman who wrote the show and Charlie began. who fired the first volley?
Well, it depends what you consider the volley. Is the volley putting the show in terms of what his writer thought? You're putting my show that I wrote at risk. It's a power struggle between these two guys. Let's be honest. Charlie's saying it's me, it's my show, I'm the power behind it. He's actually asking for a 50% raise right now. I don't know if he's up for negotiation.
I know what you're asking, and we will ask that later on when we talk. Excuse me. When we talk to Alex Jones, because it was on that radio show, and you're talking about what was the straw that broke the camel's back, and supposedly it was when Charlie Sheen called the producer, Charlie Levine, Chaim Levine, which was his Hebrew name, and people felt that he was anti-Semitic.
Chuck Lorre did something before that.
He said, I'm going to live longer than Charlie.
Chuck Lorre, whom he was calling Chaim Levine, then...
That's recently.
Yeah, that just said, that's a straw.
Right, but my question is, who started with the public verbal lambasting?
I think there's a card at the end of the show that Chuck Lorre puts out, and we don't have the exact verbiage here. And he said something like, I don't do drugs, I don't sleep with strangers. You know, I get up, I jog every day. If Charlie Sheen if he outlives me, I'm gonna be pissed. Oh, there it is. I exercise regularly. I make sure to get plenty of rest. I see my doctor once a year and my dentist twice a year. I've had chest x-rays, cardio stress tests, EKGs, and colonoscopies. I don't drink, I don't smoke. And if Charlie Sheen outlives me...
Yeah, but that's not what caused it.
Well, Charlie Sheen came back.
I think the words between them have gotten obviously intense, and that's why we have Alex Jones, who's friends with Charlie for a long time, and the radio host who caught a lot of this. I think this obviously started. Business is at risk. Money is at risk. You take two guys in business and you risk each other and you call each other, no, I'm boss, no, I'm boss. Words are going to fly.
Yes.
This started long before
and also
the words
there were
we heard.
people, I mean, this is a very popular show, who objected to the fact that the star of it was a man who was on drugs and porn stars and so on.
But I guess my question still remains. If you want to chastise your star, generally you call up and make a phone call. But I was asking what started the public chastising and the name calling and stuff.
Right.
How did that begin? That will be very interesting.
And that's what we'll find out
I think it went back to this comment by Chuck. Seemingly is the first we heard, but I'm sure these men had words way before we were hearing
We'll find out. Now, Barbara,
before you go.
Yeah, I just was about to say, you just saw a show you wanted to tell us about.
I do, Whoopi.
All right.
The show is called Spider-Man, Turn Off the Dark. A bunch of critics gave it very bad reviews, and I went yesterday. I've never seen anything like this on Broadway. It's an extravaganza. Spider-Man is a comic strip. It's not supposed to be Hamlet. It's a good show to take the kids to. How old is Jeff?
Jeffrey will be 6.
I think by 6 he might be able to. There was a little boy there who was 6. And I said, no, I'm not worried about his being quiet. All the kids were quiet. And I said to the little boy, were you scared? And he said, no, because I know it's fake. But, 6 may be a little young, 7, 8. But, I mean, they really are flying all over the place. It is an extravaganza. And I think, give it a chance. It's something that's never been tried before on Broadway like this. More power to Julie Taymor, and I had a good time.
Fun.
That's all I want to say.
All right. When we come back, the radio host behind...
Wait a second. I just want to give the name of the Spider-Man. Please let me do that. Reeve Carney. There he is. He's adorable. Can we have the other picture with my man? There! That's Spider-Woman! Okay.
It's like James Franco.
They all look alike now. When we come back, the radio host behind Charlie Sheen's bizarre radio rants.
A portion of an interview that Charlie Sheen did with ABC correspondent Amanda Canning, where he passionately defends his lifestyle of drug use and partying. But it all started with a radio show rant last Thursday that prompted CBS to cancel the rest of the season of his hit sitcom. And we just want to show you a little bit of the clip, and then you'll meet the man he was talking to. Take a look.
Chaim Levine, yeah, that's Chuck's real name, mistook this rock star for his own selfish exit strategy, bro. Check it, Alex. I embarrassed him in front of his children and the world by healing at a pace that his unevolved mind cannot process. Okay, last I checked, Chaim, I've spent, I think, close to the last decade, I don't know, effortlessly and magically converting your tin cans into pure gold.
Well, joining now is the radio show host and close friend of Charlie Sheen, the man he was talking to, Alex Jones. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. If I could just say one thing, I've known Charlie for about 6.5 years. He's never drunk alcohol, used drugs in front of me. He's been completely clean for almost a decade until about 7 months ago. Now he's come off the drugs and the alcohol, which is almost like, you know, being off your meds. It has the same effect. So he's supercharged. He's angry. He's focused. And I know that when they interviewed him at his house, because I talked to him, they interviewed him for about 2 hours. And that's a little kind of joke that's out of context. He's tired of being judged and him being held up as the ultimate demon in this world. He didn't kill 1 million people in Iraq. He wasn't involved with the takedown of Building 7 here in New York. And he thinks there's bigger devils out there than himself. And Chuck Lorre's put out a whole bunch of these cue cards while having management tell him a month ago, if you speak out against 4 episodes being cut, we're going to fire you. Then he starts putting out all of these. Chuck Lorre. He starts putting out. He starts putting out vanity cards, not just on 2.5 Men, but on other shows, saying Charlie Sheen is dead inside and soulless. You didn't show the worst one there, and so Charlie's told, we're tying your hands. Now we're going to beat you up for whatever contract negotiations.
Let me ask you. So the question that I have is so you're saying Chuck Lorre started this?
With the vanity card.
With the vanity
And
cards.
up front had management, according to Charlie, and I've been there when he's on the phone with his management or his manager comes over.
You're talking too fast for me, baby. Slow down.
Well, I know we don't have a lot of time. I'm getting on record.
Right.
They told him, before he said a word, they said, we're doing this, and if you criticize it, you're going to be fired. And he said, why are you telling me this? You know, I'm going through a hard time right now. But he didn't understand it then. I think they're trying to make him quit or something, so they have to pay out his contract or the $100 million in syndication. I think there's some shenanigans going on here. And then they start putting these things out. Then they start putting these vanity cards out, trying to prod him and push him.
Tell people what vanity cards are. I don't think people know.
Okay, most shows have a logo at the end, you know, like a little dog or the MGM lion. Chuck Lorre has these big write-ups at the end of his show. And imagine at the end of the show with Charlie Sheen and other CBS shows.
This is on air.
This is on air, saying this man is soulless. This man is dead inside.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, because from that clip that we saw, a lot of people would ascertain, okay, or assume that Charlie was on drugs again. You say he wasn't. Do you think
he's taking blood tests?
Do you think he's...
I've been at his house when they come in, take the blood, take the urine.
I take your word.
I was there 2 weeks ago.
I hear you. Do you think he's manic depressive? I mean, as a friend, do you say, okay, this is something else? You guys are missing the boat. It's not the drugs. He's actually suffering from manic depressive disorder.
Let's just remember, you know, Charlie's been a star. Charlie's been a star for 30 years, and all people know about is these episodes where he explodes. The Charlie Sheen I know is a compassionate guy who's really smart.
The episodes where he explodes. I mean, he was saying, you know, this is the best thing that happened to the people who were with me. They're never going to regret it. They had the best time. You know, this is on drugs, tearing up rooms in hotels. What about that explosion?
I know this. I don't use illegal drugs, but when I quit smoking, I've had a long battle with that. I feel horrible for a week, and about a week later, my wife says, please, just go back to smoking sometimes because I get so manic. And I think we have a similar physiology. A lot of people have that physiology.
He was not giving it up at that point. He was on the drugs and booze.
Oh, you're talking about the last few months.
Do you think there's something underlying here that people are missing as a friend?
I just think that he's somebody going through a hard time who got clean, and that's why I went out to California to help him. And I know that it's wrong for them to be prodding him, and demonizing him and trying to make him blow up. That's actually what I believe is going on here. They should all just shake hands, bury the hatchet, come together for the crew of 2.5 Men. I want and try to support Charlie, but also Chuck Lorre, everybody else, but understand what happened.
Okay.
So you're worried about it.
But Charlie's tired of being held up like the devil. We got the TSA putting their hand down people's pants. Infowars.com covers it all. We've got the banks bankrupting the U.S.
Wait. Let's stick with Charlie because that's way too much for me, man.
Charlie is mad because he's held up as all the problems. He didn't steal $23.7 trillion like the Federal Reserve.
We're just here to figure out what is happening with Charlie. That's what we're trying to figure out.
And he's doing interviews now, so he has a chance to speak for himself. And
but they're taken out of context.
Look, we're not comparing him to Gaddafi.
You haven't seen them.
Oh, they've been comparing him to Gaddafi.
Look, I was just saying, I don't think I've
Let's compare George Bush, $1 million Iraqis, to Gaddafi.
Are we going to really go there right now?
Torture, secret arrest, America's turning into a police state.
We're going to start here and go there. We're asking you about your friends.
Excuse me. I think we were here to talk about Charlie Sheen. I'm not trying to cut you off.
Charlie says you have a right to kill him, but not to judge him, as Colonel Kurtz said.
Thank you. You are certainly a wonderful friend.
And helping
yep,
them.
boy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Charlie, stay clean. We love you. And everybody else out there, stay clean. Don't use drugs. Infowars.com.
That's a good message. Okay. Woo.
Infowars.com.
All right, when we come back, our series.
Chuck Lorre, quit writing those dinosaurs, buddy.
We'll be right back, okay? We'll be right back.
Inbox overflowed the last time we had them on, so our series Vimeo Ask the Experts is calling in lawyers again to answer your legal questions and give their verdict on celebrity scandals. In the headlines, please welcome Chief of ABC News Law and Justice Unit Chris Cuomo, Judge Jeanine Pirro, and lawyer and author Crystal McCrary. Anthony, welcome. Okay, we're glad you're here. We're going to start with round one right away. Chris, this one's for you.
We were wondering whether or not a parent can be held responsible if their child is a bully.
They're not incriminating themselves, by the way, right there, but they do want to know, how responsible are parents?
All right, the right word is responsible, and the truth is, across the country right now, what we're seeing is, for property damage, what the kid does to somebody else's house or to another child, you can be sued and lose as the parent. However, being prosecuted for criminal responsibility, we're not there yet. I don't believe in legislating morality, telling people how to raise their kids, live their lives, but bullying is an area where we need to have more accountability for the parents. Right. And we're seeing a little bit of a shift in the law right now toward making parents more responsible. But right now, it's really up to them as to what their responsibility is.
You know, I remember you were just on here when we had the little boy who was hung up on the fence with the by the bullies, and you said that they probably weren't going to win in court. Now, is that some? Remember, one of the parents said, "I can't control my son either."
Well, the concern there is about the school. In these situations, you hear like we did that day. This little boy, his mother went to the school, tried to get changed. The school took a step back until you want answers. And then they get very strong, they get lawyered up, and it's very difficult to win. Right now, we need a shift.
Okay, thank you. Judge Pirro, this next one has to do with Lindsay Lohan, is for you.
Lindsay Lohan got a choice to go to court or to serve 6 months in jail because of her shoplifting charges. Does the average person get that choice, or did Lindsay just get it because she was a celebrity?
Okay, what happened with Lindsay Lohan is that the DA basically said, you can plead guilty now and get 6 months, or you can go to trial. Everybody gets an offer like that. I mean, when I ran the DA's office, it's like, you can plead guilty and maybe get the max, or, you know, we'll give you a deal right now and cut it. Here's the bottom line. All the DA needs to do in this case, turn out the lights, turn on the video. She's walking out with the necklace. And in addition to that, you've got her suspected or accused of taking a $35,000 Rolex watch, a fur coat from a club.
Do you think she should take the plea bargain, the 6 months in jail?
I think this woman she's already got 2 misdemeanor convictions. She's shown ultimate disrespect for the courts, the judicial system, and the judge. She's never finished probation. She'll be violated on probation as well. I mean, she's in big trouble. And if she goes to trial thinking, well, maybe my celebrity status will help me out,
or that
forget it.
White
You've
dress.
got a sense of entitlement, and nobody likes it. She could face 3 years.
And if she sees Judge Pirro when she walks in that courtroom, she better play dead.
And she better not have anything written on her fingernails.
She is praying she is not. Crystal, hey, this next question is for you. Take a look.
Every time my mom travels, she leaves a list of who she wants to leave her precious belongings to. Would this list hold up in court if anything were to happen to my mom?
Yeah. Okay. I do that on my BlackBerry right before the plane takes off. I say, leave so-and-so. Does that work?
I'll tell you this much. This is why it's always best to have a properly executed will, meaning that it's signed in front of 2 witnesses and the 2 witnesses sign it. Otherwise, it's what's known as a holographic will. And the issue that you get into with holographic wills is that many states don't acknowledge them. You know, the state of New York does, but only under certain limited circumstances, like if it's someone in the military who's written a will with no witnesses while they are, you know, in active duty.
You tweet it, because I tweet it sometimes. I do. So that everybody knows.
2 witnesses.
I retweet her tweet.
You know what? But if you don't have a properly executed will and you leave a note, and that's the only thing left, as long as it's your signature and you're relatively mentally stable, you've got a great chance.
If you're not completely clear, the lawyers.
If you can't afford a lawyer, write yourself a note. But make sure that people who are behind you can find the note. That's the problem. People don't know where the note is.
Good point. Good point. Okay, round 2. Here we go. Chris, you're up again. Take a look.
I live in an apartment where my neighbors next door to me smoke cigarettes, and sometimes the smoke gets into my apartment. Is there anything I can do legally to have my neighbors to stop smoking?
You know, you know what's interesting about this? Everybody goes to the law. Can I sue? And they look at things like nuisance or trespass and the use of my home. But the reality is probably not, because unless it's in a tremendous amount of smoke that's blowing directly into your apartment, the smoker probably has a right to smoke as well. Now, one state we're seeing some law move towards, there's so much anti-smoking right now, that one state, Utah, actually put a little bit of a cause of action for secondary smoke. But it's not really there. But here's the thing. Get up. Go to your neighbor, knock on the door, and say...
What if they blow smoke in your face?
That's a different situation.
Like, what if your kid, like my son has asthma?
Let's start with that. If you come to me and say, hey, look, you got your right to smoke. It's blowing in. Jeffrey's coughing. Can we do something? Let's start with human decency and civility before we look to sue.
And a certain amount of common sense. I mean, we live too much of in a litigious society as it is.
That implied warranty of habitability.
We've heard a lot about, be it hot sauce on the tongue or parents taking their kids to jail, et cetera. Extreme parenting is what it's being called. And to you, Judge, we have this question.
I'm about to be a mom, and I have a question. I wanted to know, with all this extreme discipline going on and parents getting in trouble, when do police determine whether it's child abuse or it's proper parenting?
Yes, good question. All right, in every state in this country, you have the right to physically discipline your child. The issue is, have you gone too far? And I think most of us can figure out where the line is between child abuse and disciplining. But I think that at the end of the day, it's about having a lasting impact. You pour hot sauce down your child's throat and then throw them in a cold shower. That's the kind of thing that child's going to remember for a long time. But it's not just about bruises. You can shake a baby. You know, you can actually shake them to death. And what we have seen over the years are people who think, well, it's really my intent to just discipline and not commit a crime. It's not about your intent. It's about the result on the child. And at the end of the day, we all have a moral obligation to protect children. And in every state, there is a reporting law that allows anyone to call in. You know, you can be, you know, you don't have to say who you are and you don't have to be right, but you really don't want to be wrong if you think a child's being abused.
Right, good call. Crystal, next question is for you. Thanks, Josh.
Hello, I'm Damia, and I have a question. I worked in a factory years and years ago and was injured, and I was wondering if I still am experiencing some pain from that injury. Is there any legal action that can be taken? This is over 10 years ago.
Ooh, 10 years ago, statute of limitations. I mean, usually the statute of limitations is about 3 years. And in the case of a situation where someone was, say, under workers' compensation statutes, usually that bars an employee from suing an employer unless it was an intentional assault or battery. And even in that case, it's like a 3-year statute of limitation, or if they're handling extremely dangerous objects like explosives. Also, if it's latent. Now, I'm not sure the nature of her injury, but if it's a latent injury that perhaps was caused by radiation, that might not manifest itself for many years.
Like we're seeing with the 9/11 cases.
Exactly.
The rescuers coming out now.
She might have a chance. I mean, you never know.
You never know. Thank you so much. Our dream legal team today. Hey, everyone's legal situation is different. Please consult your own attorney for advice geared to your particular circumstances. We'll be right back.
Well, it's never dull here.
I'm exhausted.
Me too. The rest of y'all out there, relax. Have a great day. Take a little time to enjoy the view.